If your house is settled and needs some form of leveling, the damage in the house will ultimately talk to you. You may start to see cracks in the walls. You might find that doors or windows don't shut or open properly. And that tends to be clues that your house has begun to settle at some point. When you call KC Pier, our structural consultants will come over. We're going to take a full walk around the perimeter of the home. We're going to CAD it out and draw it up onto our computer. We're going to take elevations and we're going to see the highest point of the home, and we're also going to see if the home is dropped. Anytime the home is dropped more than, say, 3/4 of an inch is when you tend to start to see damage inside the house itself. And so at that point, you may want to start considering some form of remediation. And to remediate settling in a home, we use piers. Kind of like our namesake, KC Pier. We have some of the best piers in the industry. We use a concentrically loaded pier that sits directly under the foundation, and that's an important point. Many people do not want to dig below the foundation to install the piers because it takes more time, but at KC Pier, it is the correct, absolute correct way to remediate the repair. It does take a little bit more time, but the pier itself sits directly under the home versus being parallel to the home and trying to support it, say, on a bracket or dug out and ultimately bracketed to the side of the home when they're actually drilled into the home. What we do at KC Pier is we dig underneath the foundation and we allow our piers or your house to rest on our pier. So ultimately that house cannot go any lower because the pier itself is now embedded down to what we call resistance, or some people call it bedrock, but ultimately it's at a pressure that will not settle any further. That cost can come depends on, say, rock or digging. There's variables involved, but you could probably expect to pay anywhere, say, to $1,500 to maybe $2,200 a pier. If you have shallower digs, or if you're in a slab home where there's not a lot of excavation, you may get some discounts on that as well. The best thing to do is that when you start to see the damage, if you just simply call KC Pier, one of our structural consultants will come out. We'll take the elevations, and then we can assess and really hone in on a number for you, so you will know exactly what you're getting into before the job ever starts. Once we've created that estimate, we don't have changes in that estimate. It stays that number. There aren't many ways that you can actually have that, but some companies will, where if they hit rock or if they go too deep. At KC Pier, we don't have those issues. We've done so many homes in and throughout Kansas City. We know that if you're in Olathe, we're actually going to go certain depths, but if you're in Leavenworth, you're going to go more depth and with your pier and reconstruction. And we know that. We have the data. We keep it here in the office, so we don't have to have these open-ended contracts and keep homeowners sometimes guessing as to what their final bill will be. The numbers that we present are the numbers that ultimately come through, which we think our customers tend to appreciate overall. So piering the home, it can vary in prices in today's money, but the best thing to do is once you get out there, we can take a look at it. We can take a look at the depth of the dig. We can also know how deep we're going to go based off of your location and ultimately come up with an estimate that you can ultimately count on.